מקדשי שבי שבת כולם ישבעו ויתעברו בחשבה ישמחו במלאכתך שומרי 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 שבת עונג שבת ישמחו במלאכתך שומרי 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 שבת עונג שבת Shabbat Shalom. Wow. Feels like we never left here. We were commenting earlier that this is just a very difficult Shabbat because it comes right on the heels of Yom Kippur. And immediately we have Sukkot coming and then Simchat Torah. So it's just a very busy time. And we do have a sukkah here, so please come and see it. If you haven't seen it yet, it's really wonderful. A whole bunch of folks here spent quite a bit of time yesterday, putting it all together. So please, if you have a chance, come and visit. My name is Barry Nicholsberg. I am the cantorial soloist here at Temple Beth David in Snellville, Georgia. To my immediate left is Bobby Horowitz, our vice president and lead guitar, and Frank Monteleone, our guitarist forever. On my right is Jim Murray and Heather Murray, and on the back, our board president, Judy Kern, who makes sure that the train keeps running on time. And right next to her is my gorgeous wife, Eleanor, known as Jeannie Nicholsberg. If you've got comments this evening, any names for Misha Berach list or for the Yurtzeit list, please, you'll tap them into the chat box and Jeannie will read them aloud. With that, I have just a few questions for you, and then we'll get right into it. Interesting week to ask this because it has been such a contemplative week with Yom Kippur right in the middle. So what kind of person was I this week? Was I thoughtful? Was I superficial? Was I preoccupied? Was I appreciative? Did I laugh? Did I cry? Did I tell anyone how much I love him or her? Did I use my week well? What lessons will I take with me into the future? Our rabbi gave some amazing sermons that will stay with me, I imagine, the rest of my life. He really gave us a lot to think about. So as we enter Shabbat, let us release the past week. That's not going to be easy to do. Its joys and its sorrows. Let's free ourselves from any misgivings or guilt. We, together, are ready to look for new happiness and bring the best of ourselves to new experiences in the week to come. With that, I am going to ask Heather Murray to light the Shabbat candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so we, by our own lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Trick matches, huh? I told you, Jim, don't wet them ahead of time.
No,
it just makes them really hard to light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mishtotav tizisivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadikneh shel Shabbat. On page 138 of your Siddur, the Mishkan Tefillah, would you please turn to page 138? Join us as we sing Lecha Dodi, verses 1, 5, and 9. If you're not accustomed to our custom, on verse 9, we stand up, face the door we came in, so that we can greet the Sabbath bride appropriately. Lecha Dodi, page 138. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. La 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 Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, Hishmiranu el hamachad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem v'tifi emeret v'lifi la 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 Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Hitoreri, Akiva Orech Kumi Uri Shidabevi. Kibor Adonai Allah Yefli la 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 Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Please rise physically and or spiritually as we turn to face the door we came in and we sing. Go'i v'shalom atzeret bala, gam besimchat zola, toch emunei am sigula, bohi chala, la 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 Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. La 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 Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Would you please turn to page 144? I will ask Bobby to lead us in the Chatzi Kaddish, the Reader's Kaddish, page 144.
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamad yivarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechonu v'yomechon uv'chay d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'yimeru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach v'yalvam ulal me'almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yirpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudasha b'richu leila min kol berchata v'shirata
Tush bechata v'nechemata damiram v'yalma v'yimaru. Amen. I'm going to do something just a little bit different this evening. I want you to please turn to page 146 for the Baruch. You're already standing up, which is great. And then once we finish with the Baruch, I want to go straight into the Shema, and then we'll come back for some readings. But that way you can sit down and stay seated and not be bouncing up and down all the time. So we're going to do Baruch right now, and then when that's over, we'll do the Shema.
Barry, which Shema?
The short version tonight. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamivorach. Shema on page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kibod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. It was so much fun on Yom Kippur to be able to say the Baruch Shem out loud. It's the one day we're able to do it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, with that, I'd like you to turn back to page 149, and I'm going to ask Jim, you to read right along with Jim, starting with Praise to You.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sails of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv aravim.
Thank you, Jim. Would you please turn to page 151? I'll ask Jim again to start. Join him in reading, As You Taught Torah.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Thank you. Would you turn to page 174? Jim and I are going to do the V'ahavta together. I will sing it sentence by sentence, and he will translate into English sentence by sentence. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshcha u'v'chol miodecha.
You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might.
V'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha.
Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children.
V'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'leftecha v'derech u'v'shovtecha u'v'kumecha.
Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up.
Ukshartam leot al yadecha ve'hayu tatafot ben einecha.
Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead.
Uktatam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha.
Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates.
Leman tiskaruhu ve'asitem ekem mitzvotai v'yetem karoshim leloechem.
Thus shall you remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God.
Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeichem mieretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. I would invite you to turn to page 158 and join us as we sing Mi Chamocha. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. La 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'olim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'edavar kodesh. Torah tehilot oseh pelech, Torah tehilot oseh pelech. Malechutecha ra'u panecha, ukei ayam She'o Miriam, Ze'elianu biharu, Ze'elianu biharu. Adonai Himok le'olam va'ed. Adonai Himok le'olam va'ed. Michamocha ba'olim Adonai, Ne'edavar kodesh, Torah tehilot oseh pelech, Torah tehilot oseh pelech. Then on page 160, please join us as we sing my favorite lullaby, Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'hanivenu malakeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat ramecha, Ufros aleinu sukat ramecha.
Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, until we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Thank you. I would now ask you to turn to page 164 and rise for the tefillah. Anananananana
Adonai. Anananananana Satai Tita. Ananananana Ufiagi. Ufiagi Tehilatecha. Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana Satai Tita. Ananananana Ufiagi
Tehilatecha.
Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana Satai Tita. Ananananana Ufiagi Tehilatecha.
Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Elohei Zilpah Elohei Bilhah v'Elohei Tamar Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'megula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo B'yahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, V'Yitzrat Sarah. 168. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Michayeh Hakal Tarab Le'oshia, Morid Hatal, Michael Chaim Bechesed, Michayeh Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somev Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Kayem Emunato, Lishenei afar, Mika Moka Bal Giverot, Umidom Melach, Melech Lemit, Chayeh, Umatzmi Amishua, V'ne'eman Talchayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Michayeh HaKol. Page 170. Atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha, Selah, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. Our worlds are very busy and very noisy. We're not listening to traffic jams, horns blaring. Our cell phones are ringing. We're getting text messages. We are so bombarded by sound that sometimes we hear, but we don't listen. Let's take a moment to embrace the gift that only the quiet in this sanctuary and in our own minds can deliver. I invite you to join me in praying silently. Please turn to page 371. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, Leah, Zilpah, Bilhah, and Tamar, bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and for their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. If you have names you would like to add to this week's Misha Barak list, please type them. If you're online, type them into the chat box so Jeannie can read them. And if you're here with us in the sanctuary, please stand up so we will know who you are and get a microphone into your hands. Jeannie?
Linda and Stephen Ely, Allison Slaughter, Rebecca Goodman, Linda Aaron Staff, Marcy Schulman, Joe Wagner, Sherry Silver, Barbara Frank, Lois and Alan Sorkin, Ivana Thomas, Tanya Hurst, Jerry Wells, Bonnie Miller, Lisa Miller, Amy Goldstone, Sandy Tejan, Doc Johnson, Sandy Unger, Kay Mather, Powell Hessel, Diana Swigger, Arlene Conley, Robert Whitlock,
Charles Rosser, Davis and Alicia Eisen, Felly and Mary Chris Bonhock, and Mary D. McBride, Eldo Hartz.
No? Okay. I will add Hannah Litzo, David Baker, Linda Ely, Joanne Stein, also Pasha DeWald. I would like to also add everyone anywhere who has suffered through COVID. I just feel so brokenhearted for the families who, 400 families a day, still are losing loved ones to COVID. It just seems it's the plague that just simply would never end. I also want to remember all the citizens of Ukraine and their loved ones, all those who have been severely affected by Hurricane Ian, Hurricane whoever. We don't need the names anymore. We should just keep numbers. Frank, any names you'd like to add this week?
We've got Nick and Connie Spinelli, the Milligan family, Nicole Gravante, Catherine Seidel, Jim Wade, and Rabbi Fred Matthews.
Thank you. Bobby?
Susie Horowitz, Keith Hood, Andrew Wheeler, Edwin Speck.
Jim Hoosty,
Jim? All right. Well, then, let's get right on to it then. No other names? Let us sing Misha Berach, page 371.
Bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
The Parsha this week is Ha'azinu. And after this past week, sounds like one of those wrongs that we have done in our lives that we're beating our chest and asking forgiveness for. Can you hear it? Ha'azinu. It's not, but it feels that way. And when I tell you what's in here, it might feel that way again. So this is almost the end of Deuteronomy. We're just 1 week away from the end of all that. And Moses, who has been going on for 31 parshas now, in retelling the story of the Israelites and how they came to be and how they were saved by God and how they have left Egypt and crossed the desert and the 40 years that they have been wandering, all of that he does as a poem. Some people say he sang it to the people of Israel. This is a man who needed his brother Aaron to speak for him because he had such a bad stutter. Interesting how that stutter never again came up. That he has been speaking to the people without any mention of a stutter, without ever asking his brother or anyone else to help him out. So I just kind of wonder. So we've got this poem or song, and so what's he saying? Well, part of it is that I'm not going to sing this because I don't know the tune that he might have used, but God found them in a desert, them being the Israelites, in an empty, hallowing waste, meaning Egypt. He watched over them, guarded them, like an eagle who rouses its nestlings, guiding down its young. And it goes on like that. Well, that's very positive. There's a lot of good stuff in there. You could feel good about that. We just come through Yom Kippur. I read this. Everybody says, oh, isn't that nice? And we move on. Not so fast. Moses then moves on to, they incensed God with their alien things, vexed God with abominations. I just don't know how this fits into a song very well. They are, meaning the very people he is singing to, a treacherous breed. He is saying to the people, you have no loyalty. And if you don't have loyalty, you will die. It's not an if, it's an and. But interestingly enough, God did not choose to destroy the Israelites because he didn't want the Israelites' enemies thinking they did it. We're going to finish this next week, V'zot HaBaracha. I need to talk about just a little bit because it is the last lines of next week's Parsha are the only thing that really give us hope this week. I just cannot leave it dangling like that. It's worse than a participle. Lover, he's speaking to God. Indeed, of the people. Their hallowed are all in your hand. They followed in your steps, accepting your pronouncements. And so, finally, Moses ends his song poem, and he is told by God to ascend the mountain so he can look into Canaan because he would not be allowed to cross over. This whole song poem thing, it's confusing on so many levels. It's got hope, it's got empowerment, it has a blessing, and yet there's terrifying visuals that come up in this. God will wipe you from the earth. You have been treacherous. You have ignored the will of God. It's not an easy Parsha. I think today we do our best to follow the paths in life that are blessings. I really do. I believe that we simply do not go out of our way to be bad people. I think we go out of our way sometimes to be good, sometimes to hold our tongue, sometimes to help someone even though we need the help ourselves. We know we will falter. There is no question. And we know we will fall short. We know it before we start. And yet we continue to get up every morning. We continue to put one foot in front of the other. There is a righteousness that lives in each of us. The most despicable still has righteousness at his or her core. That's not always easy to accept. The fact is, even with this righteousness, even though we know eventually we're not perfect, in some respect we will fail, we still get up and do it. There is a Parsha, and I don't remember which one, that says it's all right to try and fail. It's not okay not to try. And so we are guided by that principle, that failure is an acceptable option. But shying away from whatever it is that we wish to try, say, no, I can't do that. I'm too old to do that. I can't do that. I'll never be able to fill in the blank. Doesn't matter what. It really doesn't. It's not okay. Our covenant with God includes that we will try, that we will work toward that righteousness. And if we are not successful, we'll try again. That's the life we live. Think about it, please. Shabbat Shalom. I would ask you to turn to page 599. Oh, not yet. Sorry. I'm going to ask you to turn to page 586 and rise for the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach, l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedola, leotzeh breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot hadama, shelo samach elokeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוצר שמיים ועושה הארץ ומושב יקרוב בשמיים ממעל, ושינה זו, ושינה זו, בכהן מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אנוש, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כתוב בתורתו, וידעת יום, וידעת יום והשיבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינו. Page 588. For you spread out the heavens and established the earth. Your majestic abode is in the heavens above, and your mighty presence is in the loftiest heights. You are our God, and there is none else. In truth, you are our sovereign without compare, as is written in your Torah. Know then this day and take it to heart, that Adonai is surely God in the heavens above and on the earth below. There is none else. Page 591. Higher Adonai, Lamelech Kol Haaretz, Bayom Haho, Yeh Adonai Echad, U'Shemo Please be seated. I'll tell you the one nice thing about not being Yom Kippur. I can sing, get thirsty, and do something about it. Page 599. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Of them all we say, Zichronam Livracha, may their memories always, always be for a blessing. Are we in a period of Shiva, the first 7 days since someone passed? Okay. Are we in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days? Do you have anybody put, no, okay, fine. So, we do remember those who were part of this congregation in one way or another, who have passed in the last 11 months. Mickey Kroll, Daniel Roach, Nicholas Collins, Ed Gallup, Frank Perrone, Barbara Babbitt, Eugene Schmuckler, John McPeak, Dennis Clausen, Ellie Freed. We also remember these who died at this time of year in years past. Sidney Abbas, Herman Bernstein, Mary Chauncey, Martha Berlin, Saul Levine, John Harrison, Samuel Epstein, Michael Bernard, and Faye Frank. Are there any other names to add? I would ask you please turn to page 598 and rise as we, as a community of one, join those who are in mourning as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, B'chayachon v'yomechon u'b'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach li'olam u'almei u'maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadav v'yithalev v'yithalal shemed kudsha barichu le'elo mimkol brachata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'miran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mroma Uya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes harmony on high bring peace to us and all Israel. And let us say, Amen. Announcements. Please be seated. That's not an announcement. That was just a request. Jeannie, have you got some announcements?
I do. In keeping with current CDC guidelines, TBD has gone mask optional for those who are fully vaccinated. Masks are still required for anyone not fully vaccinated. Please consider joining us in the sanctuary to worship as a community. Please continue to read your TBD emails for announcements and event details. Operation Isaiah is virtual again this year. Please give as you are able to fight food insecurity. The link for the TBD site is in the chat and was sent out by email. The October Board of Trustees meeting is this Wednesday, the 12th. Please see the website for meeting details.
Thank you. We are celebrating 2 birthdays this week, David Binstock and Lauren Wright. Congratulations to you both. We wish you all the best always. And with that, I think we are going to sing Ham Ira, which we haven't done in weeks. I've really missed it.
Hum, ha, ha.
We were first learning this, by the way. Thank you, Bobby, for arranging it. It's gorgeous. I was wondering why we did this hum-ha thing so much. I understand it now. It's a nigun. It lets our mind focus on something incredibly simple and incredibly beautiful. It's quite relaxing. I have one other announcement to make, and that is that next Friday evening, Rabbi Nori will be back on the Bima, and I invite you, please, to come on down or tune in. I know it will be wonderful. It always is. With that, I would ask you to stand for the priestly blessing, Yivarechecha, page 603. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you.
Shalom.
Lord's face turn toward you and grant you peace. May you go from strength to strength. Shabbat Shalom.